You are witnessing the making of a male right before your very eyes. This is what happens when there are no fathers in the home and no men in the community to teach a boy to become a man. Coming to paperback and e-readers this March, John Haynes, the man with nothing to lose. The man who rules the world runs into the irresistible force of a man with nothing to lose in this action-packed, all-new John Haynes series adventure. Get the regular and variant cover editions of John Haynes, the man with nothing to lose this March. When I take a critical examination of that video Halle Berry presented on Instagram, I clearly see the making of a male transpiring in front of me. And the reason why I see the making of a male transpiring in front of me is because when I see this boy marching up and down the stairs in his mother's boots, it tells me that this boy's model for manhood is his single mother and that his father is not actively involved in his life. Now, when I was a boy growing up in the South Bronx, I had an older brother and a father, and I usually wanted to emulate my older brother because I saw him going to work, I saw him going out here and dressing up, and a lot of times I would put on his blazers or his jackets or his ties because I saw a model for a man I wanted to follow. But when I look at that picture of Halle Berry's son, it's clear to me that there is no man in his life modeling manhood for him that he wants to emulate. And because there is no man that's modeling manhood that he wants to emulate, he is following the only model that he knows, his single mother. Because when you're in a home and you see a female authority figure, oftentimes you want to model the person who has the power. And with that female authority figure being the only person that her son sees as having power, he wants to model his behavior to be just like his mother. So when I look at that video, it's clearly showing me a male being made right in front of me because this boy is growing up learning feminine life skills and learning to model his behavior after a female. So basically, we are seeing a boy being effeminized right in front of us because when you see a boy marching up and down the stairs in a woman's boots, it shows us who is wearing the pants in the relationship and who is the leader that he has been taught and conditioned to follow. So this boy has not really learned anything about manhood from any men in his life, and he is not being put on a road towards being taught manhood, and that's how you're going to get a male being made in society. Because males, yes, they have male anatomy and male genitalia, but oftentimes your males, they just don't have the thinking skills of a man, they don't have the spiritual center of a man, and they don't really have an understanding about being a man outside of what women have told them about being a man. Everything that they get about manhood comes from a woman, and that doesn't allow this male to have a balanced perspective on manhood, because the only way for a boy to learn how to become a man is by being involved with his father or being involved with other men who can show him a model of manhood, a model of masculinity, and help teach this boy the male life skills that he will need in order to survive in that world. And what's really troubling for me is how your Halle Berry, like many single mothers out there, they don't see the damage they're doing to their sons by presenting videos like this, because many of these women, they are so caught up in their need for attention that they're not getting from their husbands or their boyfriends, that they go out here and they exploit their children by presenting them in social media in these embarrassing displays. And they do this because they can't get that attention for themselves. So they try to use their children as a way to do this. And they're thinking that this kind of stuff is cute, but this kind of stuff is not cute at all. Because when you go out here and you have your son marching up and down the stairs wearing your boots, it's not something that people who are critical thinkers and people who understand family understand is entertaining. It is something that they find appalling because they see a boy being effeminized right before their very eyes. And because they see a boy being effeminized, a boy being emasculated, and a boy being stripped of his manhood, they look at that picture and they look at that mother and say, what are you doing to this boy? This is tantamount to child abuse because you are taking this boy and stripping him of his manhood. And your Halle Berry, she's thinking, again, this is entertaining to her, like many of the single mothers out there, like one David Carroll pointed out in a private video where he showed the boy playing with a sex toy. And they thought that this, again, they think it's cute and funny and entertaining, but you're destroying this boy because he's being exposed to things that are detrimental to his growth into manhood. And I look at what Halle Berry is doing here, and again, what's really deeply disturbing is she's doing this to get attention for herself because she knows she's a faded movie star and that her best days are over at 53 years old. And what's really, really sad is she's going out here destroying her son in order to get another 5 or 10 seconds of fame for herself. And she's going out here doing this because she's so desperate for attention because she does not know how to get attention in an effective manner from men because she just does not know how to have a relationship with a man. But what she's doing to her son is even worse because she is not only making a male, she's going to be making a man in crisis in another 10 to 15 years because what I see being presented in front of me in that video is the making of a beta male. And in most cases, your beta male is going to be a ticking time bomb because his mother has raised him in a dysfunctional manner. And because he's been raised in a dysfunctional manner, he doesn't know how to navigate life in the world the way a man knows how to navigate life in the world. And because he has learned no male life skills from men, he's going to think that being feminine and acting feminine is how to get his needs met. But when you teach a boy these effeminized and feminine life skills, you are setting them up for a road to failure. And that's what I see starting early on with this boy at 6 years old, because he does not have any male figures because his mother bought into the ideologies of feminism that told her that she did not need a man to raise a boy into manhood, that a boy did not need a father, and that she, the strong, independent, biracial black woman, could go out here and raise a boy on her own into manhood. And clearly from that video, we see that she's just not up for the job, because any man out here, he's not going to have his son out here wearing her boots. He's going to be teaching and preparing his son at an early age to start heading down that road to manhood, because he understands that he has to lay that foundation early on for that boy's manhood so that he can start taking those steps towards becoming the kind of man God wants him to be, and start learning about the roles of manhood early on so that he can eventually take on the role of a man in God's natural order. And I don't see that being done with this boy at 6 years old. I don't see him starting down that road to manhood because this woman has not been taught the value of men in society. She has had all of these failed relationships with men, so she does not understand the importance of a man in her life or the importance of having a man there. Again, she thinks she can raise these boys on into manhood, and it's clear to me from what I saw in that video, this is just not possible because, again, I don't see the making of a man in that video. I see the making of a male, and I see the making of the same types of dysfunctional beta males that I have seen in my life in junior high school, at work, and many of these online stalkers and other online dysfunctional black males I have dealt with over the course of the last couple of years. I see that kind of male being made right before me. And sadly, many of these women, like Halle Berry, these single mothers, they think that this is all funny and cute until they wind up having to deal with a male 15 to 20 years later who winds up a man in crisis and a man who cannot function or do the work of a man, take the responsibilities of a man, or take the lead a man is supposed to in God's natural order. If you want to see me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon, my PayPal, or my Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. And if you want to try some of my SJS Direct publications, like The Man Crisis, you may do so by clicking the link to Amazon.com. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.